Hey everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. And I'm sorry about the time switch. I had to shift us forward a little bit. I'm going to turn comments on here. Hey Barbara, hey Pat, hey Vicky. I am so sorry about the time switch. I had to move us forward 30 minutes because we've got a Zoom class tomorrow and there was a check-in that was scheduled months ago for 7 o'clock. So sorry about that. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. So, and you'll have to let me know if this time is better. I mean, I can do it whenever. Hey, Mary. Hey, Phyllis. So, if there's a time that works better, let me know. Hey, Ara. So, and then I was messing around. Hey, Linda, trying to get a picture to show up on the screen. Which you'd think I could get it. I took a good picture of the collard green silk. Hey, Caroline. Hey, Mo. Hey, Lilena. Yeah, so I wanted you to be able to see that green color. I'll get that posted on the website. Hey, Mary from Mississippi. Hey, Beth. Hey, Cheryl. And when I was driving my friend Catherine to Louisiana. Hey, Elizabeth from Bristol, Connecticut. Happy Mom's Day, yeah, to everybody. Hey, Elizabeth. Um, yeah, you should, Elizabeth. We'll be open in the fall for sure. Hey, Holly. Hey, Jan. Um, so I was driving my friend Catherine to Louisiana, and we had ALV with us, who is just turned 8. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Tara. And I asked Catherine if ALV was practicing spelling. Hey, Lori. Hey, Anne Marie. Hey, Lane. And I said, have you taught her how to spell Mississippi? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, And so I don't know if you learned it when you were a kid. Hey, Deborah. And I don't think there's anything bad about it, but it was M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter I, humpback, I. Hey, Ruth. And Catherine had never heard that, so maybe, I don't know. But that's how we learned to spell Mississippi. Hey, Kathy. This time's good for you. Okay, good. Hey, Ann from Oklahoma. Very cool. What's the weather like in Oklahoma right now? It's been really warm here. It's felt more like summer than spring. And of course, it's raining a little bit today. Warm in New Zealand. Hey, Frederica. Thank you for joining, by the way. I know it's a weird time for you, so thanks for joining. Hey, Deborah. Yeah, that's how you learned it? Yeah, good. So, but it was funny because Catherine had never heard it like that. Yeah, Barbara, so did I. so, so anyway, I think Ayla V was sleeping, so I don't think Ayla V knows how to spell Mississippi yet. But we were in Mississippi. That's why we were practicing. Hey, Janice. Um, anyway, that was fun. Part of that little trip, but yeah, so it's been in the 80s this week, and I'm not mad about it. I like it being warmer, but I don't know where spring went. It's just like it went from, you know, cold to hot, tornadoes. Ooh, I'm glad you're okay. Um, hey, Lori. Hey, Ann. I don't know if I got you told hey. Um, you never heard that one. Okay, so Linda, so it's M-I, crooked letter, I, because those are the S's. Crooked letter, I, because you have another set of S's. And then humpback, I. And the humpbacks are P's. So if you were like leaned over. So M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. It was just a fun thing to say when you were a kid, and it helped you learn how to spell it. And I was a good speller. I'm still a good speller. And I had a lot of trouble with Wednesday because it just makes no sense. So I still, to this day, in my head, when I have to spell Wednesday, I say Wednesday. Only in my head. Because that helped me learn how to spell it. Wednesday. It's the only way I could do it. So, too much cold in Michigan, yeah. I believe it. Illinois. 2 for the river. Okay, got it, yeah. So, hey, Deb. I hope you guys had a good week. I had a pretty good week. It felt like it zoomed by. Every day this week felt like Friday to me. And hey, Vicky, I kept getting excited because I thought it was going to be time to do the stitch and chat. And then it was only like Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. Supposed to be in the 80s. Yeah. Well, I like the 80s. I'm comfortable. And when I lived in St. Croix, it was always 83 degrees there every day, all year long. Unless it dropped down to 78, which it did in the wintertime a couple times. And you'd see people come out in coats and stuff. It was hilarious. I don't miss that. I told you guys I did not like living down there. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Not my kind of place. Just way too many bugs. If it weren't for the bugs and the iguanas and stuff like that, and the food issues, I might could do it. But and the island was small. It was like 24 square miles. It was tiny, tiny. So everybody knew everybody. From Pennsylvania. Hey Jane, and some remote stitchers. Oh, I should join that group sometime. I've never been there. Hey Inez. I was going to stitch with you guys tonight, actually. So I will tell you the story. We are working on a little studio for me upstairs. And, at lunch today, I was like, Everett, so do you think you can? And he's pretty good about stuff like that. And I almost had him convinced to make it for me before tonight. That was from lunchtime. Don't tell him. And I think he would have attempted it, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So we're going to work on it. It'll be ready for next week. But, I'm struggling with the light down here. I just don't like, the way colors and stuff come out. Hey B, lunchtime there. Okay, did some gardening and housework already. Now you're stitching. Good, good, good. 100 is too hot. That is too hot. Hey Ramona. But we should have a better setup by next week so that I can get colors right. That's what I'm struggling with. And he bought me these really bright lights that are really good lights. They're work lights and they are white lights, which is kind of what I need. And they blinded me. My eyes still kind of hurt because I turned them on down here and I was trying to see if I could use it. And there is one on the floor beside me, which you can see it's kind of casting a shadow on my hair there. Something is, but, they're too bright to have in front of you. My eyes hurt from it. So that is not the answer. Something else. Maybe, I don't know. I got to figure it out. And I do other videos and I take a lot of pictures and stuff and I get the color good for the pictures. And I can take pictures down here and the color comes out great. But just not for the video. Let me show you the picture I took of the green. This is a collard green from last week. I might be able to just drop it on top. It might be all you see, but this was that green color that I tried to show you last week that I just couldn't get to work. Well, yeah, no, it's not. Oh, there it is. So can you see that green color? I think you can see it. You can give me a thumbs up if you can see it. I know you've got a little bit of delay on me. Are you guys able to see the collard green? Yeah, okay, great. So good. Yeah, so that's the green. Sorry, there's more of a delay than I thought, but it is really pretty. Really beautiful green. I love it, love it, love it. And that is a pretty realistic picture of it, I would say. If you like green. And that's a giant, that's like 1,000 yards. So, we would strand it down from that. But it is pretty if you like green, and I do like green. Hey, Cheryl. So I just wanted to show you that. It's better to look at than me anyway. There is a way I can do a split screen because I did that one time. I just need to get on here and practice when I'm by myself. But hey, Candy. Hey, Jane. I already said hey to Jane. Hey, Lori. Wild, wonderful West Virginia. West Virginia is really beautiful. Hey, Ruth. I do love West Virginia. It's really pretty. On the picture for the link tonight, I put a picture of, I'm going to put this up so you can look at it while I'm talking. So for some reason that takes up half the screen, so that's good. Maybe it's a smaller picture. I'll put it over there and then I will move over here. I go the wrong way. Okay, I'm in there now. I think I'm in there. I don't know how to fix it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that picture that I put in there. I think you can see it. Let me know if you can't. It's got a Dutch sampler in the background and it's got a Hessif on top. So, and again, I know I'm delayed, so I'll wait until you tell me you can see it before I start talking about it. So. Must be a long delay tonight. It's usually just a couple, 3 seconds. So let me know when you can see the Hey, Colleen. You can see it. Okay, great. All right. So what that is a really beautiful Dutch sampler that we reproduced for Susan Greening Davis. So it's her sampler. We charted it for her and created the booklet. And soon she's going to have that sampler for sale. But the other thing that we did, and it's from the Isle, it has some ribbons over here from the Isle of Markham. So that's what these are down the side, which are really pretty cool. And Susan may be on tonight. I don't know. Hey, Anne-Marie. Hey, Gail. And so it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful sampler. It has a lot of neat stitches in it. And let me see if I can find where the interesting ones are. I think there's some in here. Somewhere there's some stitches, and it might not be on the picture where I took it, called a top winder stitch. And it's a stitch that I had never seen before. And maybe I've seen it, I just haven't charted it or didn't know much about it. And neither had Susan, and so we were struggling for the charting of it because it's kind of an intricate stitch. And we got some help from, we talked to Jacob, I might have told you the story already, DeGraff, and he really didn't have any charting for it, hadn't done it. I think it's in here, actually, maybe. And so we ended up getting some help from Terry Bay, who had actually charted it. And so she allowed us to use her stitch diagram for that stitch. So that's pretty cool. So that's in the chart. And there's probably seven other specialty stitches. And so what we did is I had Allie, like she did for some of for Mabel Took, if you took the Mabel Took class, and if you didn't, don't despair, because she'll be coming out soon. I just need to clean up the class for her a little bit. But we did an extract and made a small. And so Allie took some different motifs from this sampler and created the small that goes on that hussif. And the small goes on this part that you can see it folds open. And the small fits on there, but it's on 37 count Russian tea cake, and it's got all those beautiful colors that you see in the sampler. And there are 10 spots left in that class, which is why I'm bringing it up. So it is, honestly, it's one of the more beautiful samplers that I've seen taught anywhere to date. I've seen, lots of beautiful samplers, but not that have been taught. And with that level of specialty stitch, it's really pretty cool. The other thing that's unique about this, so this is just a freebie. I'm going to take this picture. It's hard for me to get in their screen. Okay, I'm going to take the picture down. The class is not Zoom, but we are going to make a Zoom class of it. So I totally understand that, but we are going to make a Zoom of it, Beth. That's a good question. So the other thing that is really neat about this class is we wanted to do a special gift too that you could use later. And so Susan designed a pocket that then becomes a name tag. And so this is I might have shown you this, I can't remember. This is the outside fabric for it, which I think she said she got from Markham. And then it has a wool back, but I don't know if you can see that. It says Still Stitching with Susan at Sassafras School of Stitchery. And that's already on there. And then it's got this beautiful blue ribbon. And then you put in there, I put in there a piece of linen that is the 37 count Russian tea cake. And we put in there 2 of the motifs from the sampler. And then you've got some letters here for your name. And then you've got another motif down here, which is the top one repeated. And you make this a name tag that you then attach to the front. So this is kind of what Susan's look like. I know that's in Mylar, because this is the kit that we're sending out. So this is just a little extra thing that we're including with that class. So I don't know if we'll have enough of those to do again for if we do the class again. We are going to do an encore of it. So if you don't get in this time, we're going to do an encore. When is the class? The class is soon. It is the first weekend in June. So I want to say like June 3rd and 4th or something like that. Let me look at my schedule. And that's why I'm bringing it up. It's Friday and Saturday, June 3rd and 4th, and it's very economical. It's $170. And so you're getting, you get this little freebie for the name tag thing, which is really nice. It's very beautiful. You use your own threads on that, and I want to talk about what I did with mine in a minute. And then you get the hussif that I showed you in the picture that's already completely made, and then you get the material and all the silks, that one stitched with silks to stitch the small that we created, and then attach it to the hussif. And so basically the class is to teach you all those specialty stitches. There's one in there called uh, a buttonhole eyelet, which I had never seen, but it's basically an eyelet wrapped around, a buttonhole wrapped around an eyelet. There were like 8 that I made a list of because I had to go through and make sure we had all the stitch diagrams. And then the sampler, if you just want to do the sampler, it'll go on sale soon. It'll go on sale actually before the class, I think. It's still at the printer. I've been singing that song a lot lately, but it is. They do a good job. They have trouble with supplies and stuff too, so that's their issue. But we'll probably have that sampler for sale. But the small is different, and you may just only ever want to do the small. And it's really beautiful. I'm going to start mine. But I did start the name tag, and I wanted to share it with you because I did something that I had not done before. I used 103 on 37 count. And I did not think that it would be good coverage, but I don't know what you think about it. I think it's pretty good coverage. So I was surprised at that because normally on 37 count, we move over to a single strand of floss or silk or whatever, not the 103. The 103 is thinner than a single strand of a needlepoint ink or a dinky dye or a belle soie or a soie d'Alger. It's thinner. So I was really surprised that it gave good coverage. And you can see I've pulled out some threads there. I'm going to do a hem stitch around it. And I know I promised you guys I'd get that hem stitch up last week in the finishing, and I didn't. And I apologize. I got a little buried. But hopefully I'll get that this week. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm, you know, honestly, I've not stitched a lot with 103 because I don't like to stitch on high count linens. Like 36, 37, I'll stitch on 40, but I don't go higher than 40. And I don't like to stitch on 40. I just can't see it that well, and I have to struggle. And so I just choose not to do it. So even some really big things like our Bristol sampler, Ellen Usher, and thank you to everybody that ordered that. We're getting those shipped out. I had to ship out a lot of stuff the last couple days for classes. But I finally got all the older orders caught up, and I'm getting class stuff out. So hopefully I'll get all your orders out pretty soon too. So I appreciate that. I hope you love her. She's fun. But I'm stitching her on 36 count just because, really mostly because the color of fabric that I wanted to use, I only had it in 36 count. But other big things that I've stitched, like I've been doing this cryptid stitch along, and it's on 36 count. And some other things that I've started, like I think even Pandemic, which I haven't stitched on that in a long time, but I think I started that on 36 count. That's pretty much where I go. I just don't, and I know a lot of you guys stitch on higher count. Some of you like Ada or 30 count. We've got beautiful 30 count. We've got beautiful Ada. This week somebody ordered just a ton of our Ada linen, Ada fabric, and I was so glad because it was all Picture This Plus and it was so pretty. And so she had probably 6 or 8 colors in there of this gorgeous Ada. Hey, Robin. So I did want to show you that. This little red motif is called the stair steps of life. And so it was meant to represent the ups and downs that you come into in life. And that's the Dutch thing. So, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how that was turning out there. I was surprised. Because I usually don't stitch with 103. And I keep hearing people say they love the single strand, which I do try to stitch with a single strand, but I had not done it with that. So I don't know if you guys watch Sunshine Stitchers. Anybody watch Sunshine Stitchers? I have loved them for a long time, and I don't always get to watch them, but I always enjoy it when I do. I love Sheila and I love EJ, and Gary's a lot of fun, and they do some fun stuff. And this year they have picked a designer for each month, basically, that they're going to focus on. And this month is Blackbird. And hey, Laura, yeah, they are. They're a lot of fun. So this month is Blackbird. And I have several Blackbirds started. So I get to play along this month. And I'm trying not to start anything new. However, the thing I have to share with you would be a new start. So let me figure out what I did with my charts that I pulled. Some of my favorite Blackbirds are, oh, I pulled two of the same thing, are the Christmas series. So, like, this is Feliz Navidad. I love this one. There's another one called Merry Christmas, and then there's several of them in this series. I love this chart in particular, but I love all of the 3 or 4 that are in this series. What Remains is Love. I've got that one too, Candy. I think I might have started that. I don't remember. This one is inspired by an antique, which Blackbird did that a lot. But this is one I definitely want to start. And I've got it in my personal collection. I pulled this out of the shop to show you. But I haven't started it. This one, I think I pulled the wrong thing. I meant to get Feast of Friendship. This one is really pretty. And we had a model in the shop of this that belongs to somebody else that was really beautiful. Well, I decided that I wanted to try Vicky Clayton silks. How many of you have tried Vicky Clayton silks? Does anybody use that? I wanted to show you Feast of Friendship. Oh, I pulled out the wrong one in here. Let me see if I can find it without making a huge mess, which I'm fixing to get ready to do. Oh, I think there was only one in here. Okay, so this is Feast of Friendship, and I forget who was stitching this. Some of the Flosstubers. It might have been Brenda Sawicki, which I love her. If you guys don't watch Brenda and Laura, they're great too. It might have been somebody else last year that was stitching this. Might have even been Lori Holt. I can't remember, but I did not love this until I saw it being stitched. And when I saw it being stitched, I was like, oh, that really is very pretty. And so I know what I should have shown you guys. I actually have the re-release of the long one that has the different, like the 4 or 5 different samplers that they put together. I've actually stitched that. I stitched that back in 2015. And so that's hanging on the wall upstairs. I should have brought that down and showed it to you. I'll show you next week. Brendan the Serial Stitcher. Well, anyway, so I went online and I wanted to try the Vicky Clayton silks. And I ordered her silks for Feast of Friendship, for this one. And for Happy Birthday, because it was a little one. Just so I could try it. And they're really quite beautiful. I've not stitched with them yet. They come on these little spools. So let me open this up for you so you can see it. There's a whole bunch in here. It'll be everywhere. I had to lock the cat out, so hopefully, if I do drop these, it won't be that big of a deal. He does fetch, but he's the first cat I've had that likes string. And I know that sounds crazy. All cats love string, but my other cats, Quinn and Seamus, never bothered threads. Herschel, I found a skein at DMC that was destroyed upstairs. I just threw it away. You can't salvage something that's got cat spit on it. So anyway, they come on these little spools. So this is one of the ones. This is called Darkness Restores. Oh, the names are kind of interesting. 8.7 yards on this one of 6-stranded silk. So these little spools. And this is for Feast of Friendship. So this must be the blue probably for the house. So it's a pretty good match. When I was on her site, I did also notice, and these colors are showing up right on the screen. I don't know why that green wouldn't do it. These are showing up right. Let's see, this is a green. That one's showing up right. I don't know what was up with the collard greens, but this is the right color. What was I saying? Terrible about that. Oh, she even actually has silks. If you ask her to pull silks for a chart, pretty much any chart, she'll try to do it for you. And I noticed that she had Kezia Turnick on there, which is our January release, sampler release. And so she had a thread kit for Kezia out there. So if you don't want to stitch Kezia in, what we called for with needlepoint ink, which I love needlepoint ink, so I don't know why you wouldn't. But if you want to try something new, I can't testify to how great they are, but I can tell you I've never, ever heard anybody complain. And I've talked to a lot of people that have used them. So I'm just excited to try it. You know, I don't do that too often because I just don't have a lot of time to stitch. But aren't these colors for that chart beautiful? So the blackbirds that I actually know are in progress are, and you'll have to forgive how I say that word, progress and project. I usually say like that, and it's a carryover from. I lived in London for a while, and I worked over there for a long time, and it's a carryover from all the meetings I had over there. So I've tried to change it back, but I can't. It just comes out that way. The same thing is true of things that have an I in it, a long I, like right. I cannot shorten that word. Even in my most professional voice, in meetings that I had, big wig meetings, whatever, that one always gave me away. And I got made fun of for years. I don't really care. But I could never, even when I tried, I could never shorten that word up. So the same is true now, going the other way for the other thing. One word I say differently just for fun is aluminium. Because I just like to say it. Aluminium. And if you look at how it's spelled, that's how it's spelled. It's not spelled aluminum. It's spelled aluminium. It's fun. Christmas garden. I love Christmas garden. Yeah, that'd be another one. Lots of people did that. Yeah, yeah. Brenda in the Serial Stitcher. Brenda, yes, Serial Stitcher. Yeah, I keep wanting to say Serial Starter because that's what I am. But I do some finishes. I finish some things. Oxygen. Yeah, I probably couldn't say that if I didn't say it. If I tried not to say that with a southern slang, I probably couldn't get that said either. Serial Starter. Yeah. So I'm excited to try these out. I don't know when I'll get to try them, but she has a lot of stuff out there. So if you want to try her. The other thing that I think is very cool that I worked on this week was linen from Needle and Flax. And so I know she does a series of videos. Did anybody? Yes, Yellow Submarine was what I was going to say, Beth. I started Yellow Submarine, and it's going pretty good. I started it when they when they remastered and brought out the movie Yellow Submarine. I was still in the shop. I sat in there by myself and started stitching that. Did a little stitch along with you guys. That was fun. So I haven't finished that, but it is started. And I started another one that was really beautiful, and it's from a few years ago. And I can't remember the name of it. I've got it started. But next week I'll bring down my masterpiece. And it was fun. It's the one that I said, has the they show it with 4 different pieces of fabric. I just stitched it in one. I had to borrow it from the lending group. There's a Blackbird lending group, and it was out of print, Needle and Flax. I do love them. And I had to borrow the charts to stitch it one at a time and then send them back. And I just remember being in India, stitching it, staying in my room, trying to stay well and stay out of trouble, and finishing that one up, trying to finish that up. And there's a door on that has like a little squiggle on it. And instead of putting the little squiggle on it, I put a Y and a P that overlap for Young and Ponder, which is Ponder's Everett's last name. And it was well before we were married. So I pointed it out to him not too long ago because I hung it above the bedroom door. And I said, "Do you see that? See?" So, he had asked me at that point, but I had not said yes. I kept telling him to ask me at a better time because he would ask me when I was all dirty and sweaty. We were working on a house or something. And I was like, "That's not okay. Ask at a better time." And I would just blow him off. I think I did that 3 times. But it didn't deter him. He did ask again. You're still waiting for L and F to arrive. Linen and Flax. Needle and Flax or Linen and Flax? I think it's called Needle and Flax, but when you say L and F, Dixie, is that what you mean? She does have a lot of demand right now, and I ordered whatever she had dyed several months ago in fat quarters just so I could see it because I had not stitched on it, and I don't like to sell anything that I haven't held in my hands or tried. And so it came, and it came in a couple 3 different shipments because it was just, I think she just dyed an extra one when she was dyeing stuff for other people. And and they're beautiful. I was just thinking about how much money I spent on it. I spent a lot of money on little sample stuff, but I like it. That's why I was laughing. But I thought it was beautiful. The colors are beautiful, and I love what she does with the labels and stuff, because she kind of tells you what the background is on why she named the linen, what she named it. And she's named a lot of them after writers or places in, really stories that you would know, like from Little Women or Pride and Prejudice or something like that. Um, and they're just, or from her hometown or where she grew up. And the linen is beautiful. It's a Swigert base. It's beautiful. Um, and I just like the way she puts it together and packages it. And I like her personally, what I know about her. I've not met her, but, talking to her and then seeing her online and stuff, she's very personable. So we're going to be carrying those linens. So I sent her a note this week and said, hey, because usually we buy linens in yards and we just buy tons and tons of yardage. And then we cut it down as you guys buy it. And we might pre-cut some of it if we know it's going to sell, down to a half yard or something. But we like to cut it when you buy it so that we don't waste any of it. And but with her labels that come on it, that presents a different challenge, right? Because everybody wants the label, and they should, because that's what's kind of cool about it, to know, why it got its name. So I'm waiting to hear back from her on that. So we'll probably have to buy those in standard sizes and sell what we buy. We probably won't be doing any cutting down of those, just so that you can get your label with it, which will be kind of neat. So I'm pretty excited to be bringing that into the shop. We sell a lot of Fox and Rabbit. We sell a lot of Weeks Dye Works on the Swigert base. We really only order Swigert base Weeks Dye Works. We might have some older stuff from when the shop first opened in like a 28 or a 30 count that's not on a Swigert base, but very little. And we always write it on the tag. We write WDW-Swigert, so that you know that it's a Swigert base, because that is important. It's a good linen. Now, Legacy linen is on an Italian base linen, and it's also very beautiful. And so we do a lot of Legacy linen. And so when we were doing on Fiber Talk, Beth, you guys talked about the squirrel from M.H. Smith, and we used that squirrel with Claudia's permission. As our, how some shops, I don't know if they do it now, but it used to be that you would go into a shop and it was almost always a butterfly. And it was a butterfly stitched on like 14 count. Beside it would be 16 count, then 18 count, and then you'd have some linen sizes. And you just saw the butterfly get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they had it like displayed, right beside each other. Well, we did that with the squirrel from M.H. Smith. And so I didn't actually stitch one, but Catherine, who works with us, has stitched 3 or 4 of them. I think she's on her 4th squirrel. And I think Allie has stitched like 3 or 4 of them. We gave the really high counts to Allie. so we stitched them on Weeks Dye Works, Swigert, and we stitched them on Legacy linen, because that kind of covers the gamut for us. It shows you what it looks like to change sizes, and it shows you the difference between, say, a 36 count on an over dyed linen and a 37 count on a solid dyed linen, which is the Legacy linen. So Legacy linens are solid dyed. And there are some Swigerts. Swigerts actually came out with some really beautiful colors that are solid dyed. For those of you that stitched with us the 17th, that was a Swigert linen, or was that a Witchelt? I think that was a Witchelt linen. I take that back. That was Witchelt, maybe. I can't remember now. But it was a solid color. So whether it came from Witchelt or Swigert, I don't remember. But it was a solid color. And that's kind of neat that some of the big dyers now are making solid colors that are different from like antique white and black and red, So they're making some fun stuff. So anyway, so you'll get to see that squirrel. So we're going to kind of like the Blackbird did when they kind of put them together and then they sewed them together. We're going to do that with the squirrels that are of the same linen type. So for all of the Weeks Dye Works squirrels, they're going to be in one, thing together. I don't know if they'll be in a frame or if I'll just lace them to foam core. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a frame, because I'll probably have them till the shop closes, assuming we get it open. So hopefully it'll be around a long time. And I'll want to keep it clean, so I might have to put it behind glass. But So I'm going to stitch them together and then do a specialty stitch like a herringbone or, you know, a long arm cross or something over that seam to put them together. What fabric am I using on Alice Ellen Usher, and how large is the piece? I am using Mayflower from Fox and Rabbit. And because it's a 36 count, the piece is about 30 inches. Let me grab that chart and I can tell you. It happens to be right here behind me. Let me open it up. So on the back of the chart, we have listed the sizes of linen that you would need. So this is the back, and you can see the stitch count. But just so you don't have to figure it out, you've got listed the fabric size and then a 3-inch margin over here. So for 36 count or 18 count Aida, the design size is 23 by 23. And if you use 6 inches border, it would be 29 by 29. But if you wanted to use a fat quarter, you could squeeze it on there on a 27-inch piece. It'd be 27 by 18. No, you can't. You can't. You have to have a fat half. You have to have a fat half at least. So on 40 and 36, you're going to have a fat half. If you go to 32 or 28, you're going to need a yard. You won't use a whole yard, but, you know, it's like a 36. On 28 count or 14 count Aida, it's 36 by 36. That's with a 3-inch margin. The design size is 30 by 30. So, you know, if you go with a 4-inch margin, I would not suggest that you go less than a 4-inch margin. This piece is large, and, you know, you just don't want to risk that. It's too big to go with a 1-inch margin, because if you're off on how you started it, by the time you get to where you figure out that you don't have enough room, you're going to be really upset. So 4-inch margin, which is 2 inches on either side, is the minimum. And I would really strongly encourage you to do 3 inches all the way around, because that gives you some wiggle room. And if you happen to be off a little bit, and beyond the life expectancy, we can stitch it with us, because we're going to do a Fiber Talk stitch along, start along at least with it. I think we've kind of gotten everybody pressured into it. For me, it's just going to be a fun, enjoyable stitch. And Beth actually came up with an idea that I really, really like, to make it into like a project bag for, you know, a bigger piece, like a needlepoint piece or something. Because when you have a needlepoint piece, it's not something you can roll up. It's in a big frame. And bigger pieces, you know, a lot of people use a pillowcase or something like that. So I think Beth had a great idea to actually take this piece, and when it's finished, if it's not one you want to hang on your wall, you can finish it into a large project bag, which would be stunning to take places, you know. And you could even make it into a real project bag where you've got some pockets on the inside and stuff like that. I mean, gosh, it would just be gorgeous, I think. Really, really beautiful. And if you knew from the beginning that you were going to do that, you might actually leave a little space for the bottom and start stitching the other direction so that you had a bottom for it. I don't know. But yes, so mine's going to be on Mayflower because it has a little bit of a warm hue to it. I won't say, kind of like a little bit of a clay running through it, a pinkish clay, but not really pink. It's hard to describe. And I chose a Gloriana called Fall Foliage, which is an orangey red green kind of leaf color. And it looks really pretty with that warm hue in it. So that's what I was doing with it. And the reason I'm not stitching it in red is because I own the antique for that. And it's perfect. It's very beautiful and displayable. And so it's not in a frame right now, but we will frame it under museum glass so that we preserve it and conserve it. And we'll put that on display in the shop, so I don't have to stitch a model. And I've got good friends like Janice Green, who's just over the hill, who love to stitch, so I might be able to get a model somewhere for it in red if I need it. So that's my plan. I'm stitching it in something I will enjoy since it's such a big stitch. And she's a big girl. She's a big girl. She'll be pretty. and very relaxing. I think that'll be my end of day kind of just, you know, calm down, just relax kind of stitch. I think I'm going to put her on a frame and, you know, do that. So, what else did I want to tell you about? Well, I'll talk to you about birthday. That was this one. That might be what I had. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about the soiree. I mentioned that on the other Zoom call that we were on. Oh, there are spaces in the Jeanette Douglas class, which is coming up really soon. So she is actually May, so she's like 2 weeks away. And so if you're close or close enough, or you want to fly in for Jeanette Douglas, then reach out to me. Email is the best way because I can't always get to the phone. And my phone system here, it's really hard for me to get through the messages. So email is the best way to get me. Sometimes you can get me on the phone. If I hear it ring and I'm sitting here, I will answer it. So if you think you might want to come to Jeanette Douglas, it's a beautiful sampler called Needle Be True, and it's a new one. And then it's got some smalls with it. There are spaces in that class, but it is 2 weeks away, so you'd kind of have to hustle. Yeah, Janet's going to stitch. That's awesome. You're 6th, Bristol. That's fantastic. The Jeanette Douglas class is May 20th and 21st, I think. But I'm going to check it on my calendar here. On my schedule extraordinaire. Yes. So Friday, May 20th and Saturday, May 21st. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. And, she loves specialty stitches, so there'll be some specialty stitches in there too, and it is brand new. Yeah, do the parts as a smaller piece. That's a great, great idea too, and a lot of people do that because you can take the samplers and make drums out of them, all kinds of neat things. Christmas ornaments, just some beautiful stuff. So I'm excited, and I'm glad you guys like Ellen Usher. So that's fun. If you get something from us this week or in the last week or so, we've been giving away these. They're on the website to buy, so don't buy it. But these little cards for Marianne Frame, and they've got the pattern on the back. So this is what I've been dropping into packages. I've got a whole bunch of them. I'm going to take them off the website for sale because they're contained within Marianne Frame. So if you want the motif, you can buy Marianne Frame. But I'm going to be giving these away. So if you wonder what this is when it comes in your package, that's what it is. It's just a flower. It's the first thing we ever actually charted and published. We pulled a flower out of Marianne Frame and put it together. But I've been sharing those with you. The other thing I wanted to talk about too was kind of storage of your spools, because I was thinking about it for these 103, and this is called seam tape. It's a silk. It's called Hug Snug, but it's a seam binding, and you can order it online. You might be able to find it in some shops. We use it for a lot of packaging and smalls, and it makes a really pretty ribbon, and it makes a pretty package. This one just happens to be black because I was using it for Halloween, but this one says it's rayon, so it's not silk, it's rayon. But it's really neat and soft, and it looks very nice. It's great if you've got 103 for a project and you don't really have a great way to store it. You can do it with your hand like I'm doing with these, or you can put it on a needle and put it through and just run a bunch of put all your spools on this. I'm gonna have to put it on a needle to get through there, but you can thread this through a needle because we've done it a bunch of times, and then put your spools and then just tie it in a knot when you get all your spools on it. And that's what I'm going to do with these 4 that I was using for that name tag that I was just stitching. We've got some really beautiful mother of pearl spool keeps from Jackie Duplessis, which we do have available to buy. But, you can't put one of those on every single spool. Well, you could, but I can't. So, I was trying to think of a good way to store it, and we've done this before when we're selling them. We've done that. And I have a question for you guys. So when we package up um, threads to send off to you, we do a few different things. So if you get several skeins of thread that have the card and then they have a hole in it, like Week Style Works or Classic Color Works, I made some little cardboard floss tags. I ordered the little card that says, Sassy Jack Stitchery or thank you or whatever, and the rings, and I put them on that and I send them to you. And I'm pretty happy with that. And then we put them in a little Ziploc plastic bag to keep them safe. Um, for the Swat Alger or the needlepoint ink that come on skeins that are silk, I don't have a great thing to do that with. So we put them in a Ziploc bag like this. And so we put them in a Ziploc bag and we seal them up. We also do that with the 103. We put them in the Ziplocs because we figure that, and we put a little tag up here that tells you what project it's for. If you've bought it kitted for something that we know it's for, whatever, we'll put a little tag on there so that when you forget, like me, you'll be able to look at it and know. My question is, do you like these little Ziplocs? I'm thinking about putting these on the ribbon when you buy more than one and then dropping them in there. But, there's also like the Mylar plastic that you can put them in, it's more like this. It's prettier, but it's not useful. You can't really put them back in there and reuse it, which is why we do the Ziplocs. So I would like to know what your preference is on how we send our threads. So I know in the floss tags we've got that, or the ones that come on cards, we've got that covered with our little thread keep thing. And I think with these guys, when you get more than one, we'll start putting them on the ribbon. However, if you're going to use it with something else, the ribbon's not going to work for you because it's going to be too short. So that's going to be, I don't know how useful that's going to be. So I guess my big question is really, do you want it in the Ziplocs or would you rather have it in the Mylar? It's definitely pretty in the Mylar, but it's just not as useful. And I know that a lot of people are trying to get away from plastic, and we've looked at that too. There's some waxed bags that we can use, but they don't work for everything that we do. So we have to be really conscious of water damage in shipping. I mean, it's just shocking how some packages arrive. They have been run over. It's crazy town. And if they're not inside something that keeps them from getting damaged by water, we would have lost so much money and people would have been so disappointed. It's beyond losing money. It's people being disappointed when they get something and they can't use it. It's pretty rare that we have to replace things. I'd say it really only happens twice a year that something gets so damaged that we have to replace it. Usually because we do put everything inside Ziplocs. We put fabric and fiber inside Ziplocs, and we try really hard to package things where they don't get damaged. Once in a while it happens. But I've been struggling with that, what people really want. So looks like you like the Ziplocs. I do, because you can reuse them. And I snag them for my own stuff all the time. I'll grab a Ziploc and put it in there and take it. And that is kind of the reason that we chose the Ziplocs versus, we do send charts out in Mylar because the Ziplocs, it was flickering. Because the Ziplocs on the charts don't store well. So it's like all these little things you figure out. They really store a lot better in Mylar, and we buy them hundreds at a time and have to store them. So we do put the charts in Mylar. But what you can do with that is you can just snip the top off if you want to put it back in here and store it. I don't usually put mine back in there. We really only put them in Mylar to ship them, just to keep them from getting messed up. So, and we even tried the Mylar, because a lot of people don't like this Mylar that has the glue right here, but we tried Mylar that has glue here on the belly of the chart, but it was horrible. Like, I literally had to take them all off and throw them away because they didn't seal up right, and they just didn't work. So, oh, that's what you sent me, yeah. So anyway, thanks for the feedback. And I'm always open to suggestions because, I did not come from the world of shop ownership. I came from a whole nother world. And although I worked in a shop for a little while, it was just a very little while. And so I will listen to you when you tell me things, because, you guys are the experts of what you want and need and what works and what doesn't. And we've figured a lot of things out the hard way. Um, we've actually been open for 7 years this year, but 2 of them were only online. So we're going with 5 years old so that we can be 5 years old. When it comes to our 10th anniversary, we'll count the other 2 years. We'll be 10 in 3 years. It's the new math. So, if you've got suggestions or things, please tell me. I'm open. I wanna learn. I want you to be happy with what we send you for sure. The other thing that was on my mind tonight too was metallics. I think Gary read a note from Doug Chronic, who owns Chronic Metallics, on one of their shows recently, and it was talking about all the retooling that they've had to do, ordering new spools and new machinery and stuff, and trying to get things made inside the U.S. instead of coming from overseas. And, oh, you're welcome, Angie. I try to get it right. I mess it up sometimes. Um, and the metallics sometimes get a bad name because they're so, people find them hard to use. And there's a few tricks, and I did a little video on I think I did a video, or maybe it was in the newsletter, but I think it was in the newsletter. It was. I'll have to do a video on it. I probably showed it in a few videos, but I might make a separate one if it's not out there. I can't remember if it's out there or not. Metallics work well if you wax them. So rule number 1 for metallics is use a short length, like short. Never use over 24 inches. And you may have to go shorter depending on how delicate the thread is. That's your first rule. Your second rule is to lock it into the eye of the needle. And so that means that, there's a few different ways to do that. Sorry, something came up on my screen. But you thread it through the eye and then tie the little knot up there with like a little 2-inch tail, and the rest is your stitching thread. There's a way you can double up the strand and put it through the eye of the needle, and then take the needle back through it and pull it, and you've locked it that way. I'll try to show you in a little video different ways to do it, but you want to lock it so that it's very different from how you stitch with other thread. You're not pulling the metallic through the eye, because what damages the metallic and makes it fray and makes it break is pulling it through that eye. So short strand, lock it in the eye so that you're not pulling that thread through as you stitch it. Basically, whatever length you've got hanging is what you've got to stitch with. And when you get up to your eye, then you have to end it. And wax it. Wax it before you put it in the eye of the needle. The wax doesn't hurt it. Make sure it's a good wax. Our wax is a good wax. Stacy Nash has good wax, and so does Noteworthy Needle. They have great clear wax. And my mom used to stitch with paraffin wax, the canning wax. And she had this little, round circle of clear wax that we used to can. And she would run her embroidery threads through that before she did any stitching. And people have done that for as long as thread and wax have existed. But you need to run your finger down it. So once you run your thread through the wax, then you pull the thread through your hands, and you get any excess off, because you're going to have little bits and smidges. So just pull the excess off. And I have never, some people say they can tell a difference. I can tell a difference in how it feels in my hand. I can't really see the difference once it's stitched and what's been waxed and what hasn't. But it makes a difference in how the thread wears through the needle. Or if you've got cotton thread that is knotting a lot. So if for some reason a batch comes out kind of dry and it just keeps knotting up, the best thing to do is to run it through a waxer. And I wax all of my DMC thread. I pretty much have to wax everything. So, oh, you like the wax you got from us. That's great. Oh, it smells. Some of them did have just a little bit of a beeswax smell, and I loved it. It's very mild, though, to your point, Tara. It's really mild. So, wax it. But if you do those things, I think you'll find that metallics are not so bad. And, Chronic does some beautiful, beautiful metallics. And of course, Rainbow Gallery does them as well. So you've got those guys to choose from. Um, Petite Braid is what it's called from Rainbow Gallery, I think. So, you've got some choices out there, but I don't use a lot of metallics. But when I do, that's what I do, and that's how I do it. I stitch with it, just, short strands, lock it into the eye, and I always wax the metallic. Because otherwise it's brutal. So that was that. So how's the housewarming going? Okay, so we this week, Everett, I think he's pretty much done building out so we built the big deck for the handicap ramp. The big flat deck is done. And then you actually have to get the ramp to meet the ground. And so that's the next little bit that comes down. And that's not made out of wood. And so Everett really builds things well. He kind of over engineers it, which is not a bad thing. And so I'm very concerned about safety in every aspect of the shop. And so the way he built that deck and the way he's gone about the ramp and stuff and everything else he's done in there has just been really excellent. And we probably could not have gotten it done that well if we'd paid somebody to do it. So he this week laid block underneath where the concrete part of the ramp will come down and meet the ground. And so he spent about the better half of 2 different days doing that. And he's finished that up. And so now, and it was big concrete block. And now he will go back with smaller rock, like gravel rock, and fill in any areas. And the block was laid and then filled with concrete. He actually mixed, I want to say 20 or 30 bags of concrete and put into the blocks and around them and poured the footings and stuff. And so now he fills that in with concrete, and then we call a big concrete truck, with gravel. And then we call a big concrete truck, and the concrete truck will come over and dump the concrete there and for the handicap parking spaces. And the rest of our parking area will be gravel for now. And so then we have to get a bunch of guys over there to make it all smooth, which they've already all volunteered, so it's pretty cool. When that's done, we'll get our permit. So that's kind of the last big thing to get the permit. And the handicap ramp and everything has to be done before you can get your permit. I appreciate that, Charlotte. Good feedback. Maybe it was the wax, but you didn't like it on your silk. Or I don't usually use wax on my silk either. I don't put it on my silk. I've not had the need to do that yet. I've had a little bit of silk that kind of knotted up. I just stopped using it. So I haven't really put it on my silk. I don't know that it would hurt the silk, but I haven't put it on there. I use it on cottons and metallics pretty much exclusively. If I have a silk that's acting up, I kind of get rid of it. I don't like that. And I've not really had that happen much. My problem with silks has been, there's one type of silk that will shatter, and it's not needlepoint ink. It's a different one. And it'll shatter a little bit, meaning it just kind of fluffs up and falls apart, which blows my mind. It doesn't do it very often, but it does do it. And then I had another silk one time that knotted, and it felt like string to me versus silk, and I just didn't use it. And I actually stopped carrying it. So anyway, so I think we'll get our permit really soon. And then, as I've said a bunch of times, because it's wishful thinking, words become truth, right? You have to say it and then it happens. We'll be, emptying the house and cleaning it and painting it. May 27th. We'll see, Holly. You'll have to check with me. It could happen. It may be a private event for you on May 27th. I don't know that we'll be open to the world, but if we are at all able to let you in there, Holly, I will definitely do it. A mirabilia, and it does have lots of chronic. Yeah, mirabilias do, but that's how I do that. So I think we're getting there. It's one little step at a time, and I think I'll be happy with it when it's done. The other thing I've been doing is testing out some stains, because there's one room and there's a foyer that have no paint or stain on the walls. And so it's this beautiful heartwood 150-year-old pine boards. And they're not true shiplap. They're tongue and groove. And so shiplap is unique in that it has like not really a groove. It's just two tongues that come together that kind of butt up against each other. Um, the I think tongue and groove, fits together like a floorboard, and this was old enough to be tongue and groove. Um, I do have some of the Case Creation stands, Kathy. I don't know if I have a floor stand. I'll check. If you tell me what you want, I'll check. If you come through 2 weeks later, Holly, we probably will be open for sure. We're shooting for June. Um, so I've been trying out these translucent stains because I want you to be able to see the grain on the wood in those rooms. Originally, those rooms had wallpaper. Um, and so I don't want to, I have to paint part of the downstairs area for the shop because it had been painted and there's some crazy colors. And so it's all going to get painted where it had been painted. But the stuff that's never been painted, I would love for you to have a feel for what it looked like. So the cool thing is some of this translucent stain that I've used looks exactly like what was used in the house originally because it's still there upstairs. Like upstairs was not updated at all. I mean, in fact, it never had electricity up there. It got sealed off probably 60 years ago and never got reopened. And so it's got its original stains up there, which are really beautiful. They're kind of dark. One of them's a green, there's a gray, there's a chocolate, and there's kind of a burgundy. And we'll probably leave the green because it's in my office area and I love green. The other rooms may have to get, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to paint them or match them. That's the other option. But it's cool that that stain after all these years has lasted. Um, and so I've been trying to find one that would match these beautiful blue doors that we had made for the house that are made out of old heartwood pine, but they're new doors. They salvaged wood and made them. And I had them stain them like a blue because I just wanted them to be kind of a touch of color in there. And I'm trying to match the foyer wall to that blue, but have it be translucent. And I've had some good luck. So I'm excited about that. So a couple more tries and I might have that figured out. So that was kind of a big hurdle. That'll work out. Yeah, Kathy, send me a message. Um, the other question was, how's the soiree coming? So the soiree is great. We've got all the classes nailed down. I've just got to get pictures from myself and Miss Allie. And Allie was at Penland teaching weaving this week. So I tried to not bother her. But I think within a week or so, we'll have our pictures up and our classes open for, um, you guys to sign up. The cool thing about that is the classes, it's all virtual. And if the initial classes fill up, we'll just schedule some new ones because we'll have all weekend. So I think that'll be good. So there's 4 classes, one for me on, something specialty stitching, whatever. Maybe I'll do a finish too, so you can see a finish. Um, Black work from Susan, heart anger from Susan, and then Allie's doing that really cool button weaving, which is beautiful. And she learned it at Campbell at the folk art school, and it's beautiful. So, what about above the front door? I've not done a thing with that yet. I do like the suggestion of the squirrel. I can't figure out what to do up there because we had to close the space in. So we closed it in and it could be reopened, but for now we closed it in and we trimmed it out. So it looks like it kind of grew there and it's kind of an empty space above the door because we added all the crown work and the trim to it, which the house has a lot of fancy trim around the windows. And that's what we put above the door. It took up a lot of the space. So there's not a ton of space to work with. So I don't know I don't know the method. Like if anybody has any ideas, let me know. I would love what I can't figure out how to do. I would love to have it. You know how like an old mirror, an antique mirror has that, really cool reflective quality, but it's also kind of grayed out and it's just, oh, what's it called? We got some lights for the front that are made out of that kind of glass. Somebody's going to know what I'm thinking about. I can't think of the name of it right now, but you can buy like Christmas ornaments and stuff made out of this kind of glass. Anyway, it looks like that. The online class in September is part of the Soiree, Rose. So it is an online retreat. So it is the Soiree, and they're buried Mercury glass. That's it, Janice. Thank you. They're buried within the Soiree. So part of the optional part of the Soiree will be to attend any or all of those classes, and they'll be really cheap. They'll just be cost of materials, and the materials are pretty inexpensive. So anywhere from 25 to $40 for the class or something. So that's what those will be. And so if you attend the Soiree, you have the option to choose one of those classes. Mercury glass. So I love the idea of mercury glass and maybe some kind of squirrel. And it would have to be a flat squirrel, like a running squirrel or a walking squirrel. It can't be one that stands up because there's not enough room. So he'll have to be kind of flat, which I'm okay with that because there's some beautiful pictures of them, where they're kind of running or walking. And I love the idea of the mercury glass. So I don't know. I'm not artistic enough to know if there's a method to paint on the back of something like that to where you could see it and then it looks really kind of cool and ancient. I guess is what I'm trying to think of. I'm not a painter, but I could find somebody to do that. So maybe on the back of a piece of old mirror, or something like that, or mercury glass or something where it shows through, I think would be really beautiful up there because that would look very Victorian. And it would be very Ashevillean and look kind of cool. Asheville, if you've never been here, you haven't spent a lot of time here, it is a very crafty place, and it's ancient in a way. Like, these are the oldest mountains in the world, and that's why they're kind of rounded. But the Appalachian Mountains are some of the oldest mountain range. I think it is technically the oldest mountain range in the world. And there's a magic here that's really kind of neat. And there's a lot of craftspeople here, and the craftspeople are drawn here from other places too. So we have great pottery here because we have great clay, but we also draw in lots of other craft people from all over the world, really, but certainly all over the country that come and move here and work here. So you can find people to do just about anything. Wood carving would be really cool too. I'm not kidding. Everett can't really carve, but there are people around who do. So that's a good idea, Barbara. I could do that. That'd be neat. I could get somebody to do that. Oh, good, Rose. I'm glad you're excited about the retreat. On the front porch, too, we've got these mercury glass. I might have told you about them, Moravian starlights. So I'm pretty excited about those. Anyway. And okay. I sound like, what was his name? Horse Shack or something like that. Can't remember now. Off of Welcome Back, Kotter. Me. We have finally decided what we were going to call our Wednesday treat. So we'll be closed on Mondays and Tuesdays except for appointments. And if you're coming in for a group or just want some special shopping time, you can make an appointment and come in, and it'll be a bespoke appointment, just your group or, you or whatever. And, that'll be kind of neat for you to do if you wanted to do that. And then we'll open up to the public on a Wednesday, and we'll be open Wednesday through Saturday. Stitch night will still be Thursday night. And we'll probably do some other fun special things. We'll keep doing this if you guys want to do it. I love doing it. But Wednesdays are going to be socials. So we're going to do a Wednesday social, which we're going to partner with some local bakeries because there's 3 on our street. And did I mention button weaving? I did. Yeah, button weaving. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And it's done with like pearl cottons, and Allie has done some beautiful buttons. I'll have to do a video with her and show them. She doesn't like to be on video, so it's hard to get her on video, but she might have taken her buttons. They were upstairs, but I'm sure I can get her to talk to me about those buttons. Because they're gorgeous. Her work was really, really good. So she's going to be teaching button weaving. Definitely lost my place there. Socials, Wednesday social. Everett is very ADD, attention deficit disorder. And so I have learned since I got with him to jump around a lot and keep up with things because he will be all over the place with his stories. And so I've kind of developed a little bit of that skill set. So I hope that's okay with you. I'm doing that. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. So Wednesday socials, there are 3 bakeries on the street that we're on. So we're going to partner with some of these great bakeries. And every Wednesday, we're going to bring in some kind of, treats from them. And we're going to get an old fashioned cooler and have old fashioned sodas, and of course, we'll probably have some, tea and stuff too. We're going to try to make a lot of good use of those porches and that big patio area. And so the big discussion last weekend was like, how are we going to shade that patio area? Because I was out there painting and it got hot. I was like, Everett, we spent so much money making this patio. I said, and it's already, by the time we open every day, it's going to be this hot. I said, that has to change. And he was like, well, I can't control the weather. I was like, well, then we need to shade. So we're figuring out a way to do that, whether we build some kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say this wrong. per, whatever that is. Some kind of wooden structure that's slatted, and then we cover that, or we just take some shade covers and pull down. There's a few different things. We even checked it out a couple weeks ago, but we're going to cover that patio with some shading material one way or the other. A bushy squirrel tail would be cool. Too far away to go to Wednesdays. Oh, well, we'll have to do it virtually, and we can do that too. That would be fun. Do a virtual social. So anyway, that's what we're going to do on Wednesdays, and it should just be a lot of fun. So we'll do it till supplies run out every Wednesday, We'll get some helpers to serve you cake and soda or tea or whatever. I don't know about hot tea. I'm not big on hot tea here in the South. I know everybody loves hot tea, but that might be a little much for us. We might have to stick to water and old-fashioned sodas, which is pretty Southern. So, but we want you to be able to hang out and just sit and chat and stitch, I mean, I think that would be the day to come and just act like you live there, and just sit down and, drink a soda and stitch a little bit. Pergola. Thank you, Rose. There's some words that don't come naturally to me, and that's one of them. I call it an arbor sometimes, but Everett made one for us for our wedding. And sadly, we left it in the field, and the cows tore it up because we did technically get married in a cow field. And we didn't get it down quick enough, and they rubbed all over it until it fell down. But he'll make me another one. So, yeah, something like that to get some shade in there. Yeah, all you guys should move here. That's my goal. I just want a bunch of Sassy Jack stitchers everywhere. 8:43. Good. I'm not. Oh, I am overtime because I started at 7:30. I'm sorry. I don't know how I managed to sit here and ramble for an hour and I'm sorry. Anyway, I enjoy chatting. I did mean to stitch tonight, but I didn't get to. So things to remember. If you want to do the Susan Greening Davis class, it's on the website under workshops, and that's an in-person class. Go check it out. At some point, it will be online. So if you love it and you just can't travel, don't get upset. We've already talked about it. We're going to put it online. If you want to do Jeanette Douglas, absolutely for sure and certain, hop to. That's important. It's a couple weeks away. So call me. Better yet, email me, because if you don't get me on the phone, I'm not good with the messages. So send me an email about Jeanette Douglas, and, maybe you can come into that. So what else? I don't know. And if you guys have things you want me to talk about on Friday nights, you can send me an email and say, hey, Kim, would you talk about this? And, I can always make something up. But I do know a little bit about many things. Not a lot about any one particular thing, unless you want to talk about accounting, and I really don't. So let's don't go there. Yeah, Janice, I look forward to having you back. I really do. So videos to watch, go take a watch of Neil and Flax. She's fantastic. And don't forget, if you want to do the Christmas ornament exchange with Cindy of Cindy's Cross Stitching, and Melanie's videos are also great to watch. So Cindy and Melanie, we love them. Okay. Have a great weekend. And if you're going to be in the Zoom class tomorrow with Beth Seal and Summer House Stitchworks, I will see you mañana. So thanks a lot for joining. You always make me laugh, and I have a good time. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great week. Bye.